Jai Hind everyone, I'm Ayush Mishra. Welcome to National Innovative Education. I hope you all are fine and doing well. Please be safe during this pandemic. Stay at your home and study continuously. So today we are going to study class 10th geography chapter 1 resources and development. Okay, so this is a very important chapter because your whole entire class 10th geography syllabus is based on this particular term resources. Let's have a look at your slivers. Chapter first, resources and development. Chapter second, forest and wildlife resources. Chapter third, water resources again. Chapter fourth, agriculture. These are also resources. Chapter fifth, minerals and energy resources again. Chapter sixth, manufacturing industries. Okay, manufacturing of industries are determined by the factor of availability of resources. So these two are interdependent upon each other. Chapter 7, lifelines of national economy. So what are these resources are lifelines of our national economy. So let's begin with our first definition of what are resources. So everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our need, provided it is technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable, can be termed as resources. So it is saying everything that is satisfying our need, from the water we drink to the soil in which we grow food, to all the modern technologies that we are using to satisfy our needs, those everything will be termed as resources. Okay. Now there are three main factors that determines the excellency of a resource. First, it is technologically accessible. Okay, so you should have existing technology so that you can reach out to those resources. Second, it should be economically feasible. Okay, so the resource that should have economic advantage over the economic cost that you have invested for that resources. Okay, let's take example of our own organization, NIE. Okay, so you pay a fee of 500 for a subject and you get back 1,000 rupees scholarship. So you are having economic advantage over the economic cost you have invested in it. So this is economically feasible. And third, it should be culturally acceptable. Okay, your culture or your society that should accept that resource, and that resource should not violate any of the guidelines, feeling or emotions of your culture or society. Only then that resource will be excellent. Now, figure 1.1, interdependent relationship between nature, technology, and institutions. Okay, so these three things, these are interdependent upon each other. Let's see how. Human beings, we interact with nature with the help of technology. And with this technology, we convert these natural resources into final product into a particular institutions. Okay, then these institutions with the help of those final products, they accelerate our economic development. Now resources, these are divided into two main parts. First, natural resources. Second, human resources. Okay, we as a human, we are also a resource. We are providing each other services and we are satisfying each other needs. So we are also a resource, and human resources are again divided into two main parts. First, structures and institutions. Okay, structures means the arrangement of human for the utilization as a resource. And institution means the organization that is using humans as a resource. Now, second, human quantity and quality. Okay, so the number of human resources that are being utilized, that will be human quantity. And talking about human quality, okay, every human have different qualities. Like I as a teacher, I have a quality of teaching, so I am satisfying your need of knowledge, so I am also a human resource. And do comment down what is your dream to be used as a human resource. Okay, so now talking about natural resources, they are again divided into two parts. First, renewable resources, the resources that we can use again and we can reproduce again, that will be renewable resources. and the resources which we cannot use again after using it once, they will be coming under non-renewable resources. Now, renewable resources and non-renewable resources, these are again divided into two parts. First, biological renewable resources. Okay, so as the term is indicating, biological, it means the living form or the living beings are used as a renewable resource. Okay, so these are again divided into two parts, natural vegetation or forest. Okay, we use forest as a resource for many purposes like wood and woods for paper. So, and they are living things, so they will be coming under biological, and they can again be renewed by the process of afforestation or growing of plants. So they will be coming under renewable biological resources. Same follows for our wildlife too. We use wildlife as a resource for many purposes, for getting leather, wool, transportation, and they are living things, so they will be coming under biological. And wildlife or animals, they can be again renewed or reproduced by the process of reproduction, so they will come under renewable biological resources. Second type of renewable resources are continuous or flow. Okay, so these renewable resources, they are existing in the nature as a form of continuous phenomena. Okay, sun sets and arise every day, and we can renew it every day, so it will come under renewable continuous resources. Non-renewable resources, they are again classified into two parts. First, non-recyclable, second, recyclable. Okay, many students get confused between recyclable and renewable term. Okay, so on the first hand, renewable, it means to use the original product again. While in recyclable, we use the waste product to make an another product. Okay, so this is the main difference between these two terms. Don't get confused. And non-recyclable means we cannot even use the waste of the resource to make an another product. Now, classification of resources. Resources are again classified uh, on the basis of origin, on the basis of exhaustibility, on the basis of ownership, and on the basis of status of development. Okay, so there is a very cool short trick that I have made to memorize these four classifications. Okay, R, ear, R, singing drum. Okay, so you can use your own short trick. Okay, do comment down your short trick. Okay, R, O, origin, ear, E, exhaustibility. R again I have used, so that is for ownership, and singing means status, and drum means development. So this is a very cool trick. Okay, you can make your own. Okay, so this helps in memorizing things. Okay, that are in a list of a long line. So on the basis of origin means that how they exist, how the resources exist. So they are existing in two main parts. First, biotic means they are existing as a living thing, like our forest and we humans, or they are existing as a non-living thing, like sun and minerals and other resources. Okay, on the basis of exhaustibility. Exhaustibility means to completely use it. Okay, so how we have classified our resources as if they are completely used. So they are again divided into two parts. Renewable means you can renew or use them again after they have been completely used once, and non-renewable means you can not use them again after they have been completely used once. Okay, so there is another fact about non-renewable that you should understand, that these non-renewable resources, they take millions of years for making the formation of a resource. Okay, let's take example of coal. The volcanic eruption, it excretes lava. Okay, and that lava, it takes million of years to form a coal. Okay, so they cannot be used again and again. On the basis of ownership. Okay, so resources are also classified on the basis of ownership, that who owns, who have the control, power, and authority over that resource. So first, individual resources means only a single person or an individual have the ownership, power, authority over that resource. For example, farmers, okay, they use their land as their wish. They have the power to whatever they need to grow or whatever they want to grow on their land. So, and even our houses, okay, we individually owns our houses, so it is a individual resource. Community resources. Okay, so there are resources that are shared by the all community members. For example, burial grounds. Okay, where we take dead bodies for last rituals. Okay, in Hindus we take it to Shamshan Ghat, and for in Muslim brothers they take it to Qabristan. Okay, so it depends to on community to community that how they are using those resources. Okay, another example are grazing grounds. Okay, we have a common grazing ground where all the cattle graze or eat foods, and there are public parks. They are common. They are also common in a society or a community, so they will be also coming under community resources. We're talking about the third type of resources on the basis of ownership are national resources. Okay, so technically every resource belongs to the nation because country has exclusive right and power that it can even acquire individual properties or resources for public goods. Okay, you would have seen even built homes and buildings they are destroyed for the constructions of road or for laying railway lines. So every resource, whether it is water resource, wildlife, forest, human resources, every resource that lies within the boundary of a nation will be a national resource. Okay, so now so far we have talked about the resources that exist on land. Okay, now what about the resources that exist in seas and oceans? Okay, as you know that 75% of total Earth area is covered with water, and 96.5% of this total water area is exclusively of oceans and seas. So it is a very vast amount. So numerous of resources are found within the oceans and seas. Okay, so this is here a petroleum and oil plant. We even extract oil and petroleum from oceans and the seas, and also fisheries and other marine resources are found in seas and oceans. So, who have the ownership of these resources of sea and oceans? So, this is where the concept of territorial waters and exclusive economic zone comes. So, before moving to these important topic, I have a small announcement regarding our app. Okay, just few seconds. This is our platform, National Innovative Education, where we teach is live, and you can also download this app from Google Play Store. Okay, I've already told you that there is only 500 rupees for one subject, as social studies in your class 10 is a combined subject. So just 500 rupees for history, geography, economics, and politics, all these four subjects. And I also told you while I was explaining you the concept of economically feasible that there are quizzes, so you can get a scholarship of 1,000 rupees. Many students are getting. You get three chances to do this quiz, and our students just they did in even the time that we are giving is extra to them, and there is an entirely different section for doubt solution. Okay, this is the section of content where you can download any notes and any content that you want. The Delhi Santanat. Okay, this is from history. So hope to see you here very soon and make you a topper too. Talking about territorial waters. So these are the areas of the seas and ocean which are about a few nautical miles away from the territorial land or coastal region of a particular country. So the area of seas and oceans that are where country have the ownership of resources of seas and oceans are territorial waters. Okay, nautical miles is a unit of measurement of seas and oceans. One nautical miles is 1,852 kilometers. So, we're talking about India, it has a territorial water area of 12 nautical miles, which is approximately 22. Okay, it is given wrong in your book. It is given 19.2 kilometers, but I have verified it from Google also. It is approximately 22 kilometers. Now, what are international resources on the basis of ownership? So, there are many international institutions for different purposes. Okay,
Like we have United Nations Organization for Security and Peace of the global world, and we have World Bank for the monetary policy and the financial issues of the world. Similarly, we have a international organization for resources and economic development, which is called as UNCED, United Nations Conference of Economy and Development. So this institution that it decided that the area beyond 200 nautical miles from a country will be a open area or a free area where no individual country can have the ownership of resources of seas and oceans. Okay, so the area lying within the 200 nautical miles from that particular or concerned uh, country can have the resources of seas and oceans, but beyond these 200 nautical miles, they need a special permission for from this international organization if they want to use or exploit those resources. So this is exclusively economic zone. Now talking about the resources on the basis of status of development. So these are again classified into four parts. First, potential resources. These are the resources that are found in a particular region, but they have not been utilized. In Rajasthan, we have a lot of wind and solar energy, but they are not properly used because they are not properly developed technologies. Now, second are developed resources. Okay, so these resources have been surveyed, their quality and quantities have been measured, and now they are ready for their utilization. So they will be coming under developed resources. Third are stock resources. So these are the resources that have potential to be utilized, but we don't have the technical knowledge that how these resources can be utilized. For example, talking about H2O, water. So it has two components, hydrogen and oxygen. We don't have any existing technology that we can separate these two gases, which are a huge source of energy. So this will come under stock resources. Okay, now my students also get confused between these two, potential and stock, because their definition are approximately same. So what there is a very minor difference between them. Okay, look here, on the basis of ability technologically and their use, we can distinguish them. As talking about potential resources, they have the ability, we have the technology, but we are not currently using them. Talking about develop, we have the ability, we have the technology, and we are currently using them. And talking about stock resources, we have those resources, but we don't have technological knowledge, and so that we cannot use them. Now, fourth are last reserves resources. So these are a subset of stock resources. How? Because we have their ability, we have their technology also, but we use them in a very limited form. Why? Because their over exploitation can cause harm to our nation. So they are used in a very limited manner, like hydroelectricity. Okay, we have those resources. We have very many rivers, dams, and we have the technology of hydro to convert water into electricity, but we are using it at a very limited amount. Okay, so that we do not exploit the nature. So this is all about the classification of resources. Okay, I hope you would have understand this, and this is very important. Okay, this form of writing your answer in flowchart format. Do try that. Do try to mention them in your answers, because we as a teacher, we know it has a very great impression over the teacher, and you can definitely get extra marks, and teachers do not cut marks and they get impressed. So do try mentioning that, okay, in your answer. And jokes apart, as I have told you that tell me about your dream of human resources. So okay, comment down your dream that you want to become, and I will reply you with the proper guidance to make your that dream come true. Okay, so Jai Hind, thank you. Meet you in the next session where we will talk about the development of resources and resource planning in India and many other important topics.